Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. Thank you so much for downloading the Faith Life podcast of Discovery Fellowship Church. I am your host, Pastor Nathan, and it has been a few weeks since we have been here, but some updates for you. Some things have changed, something that will maybe inform a little bit about why we've been absent for these last couple of weeks as we figured out what has been going on. As you might notice, or you will notice very soon, Pastor Matt is no longer with us on this podcast. He is going in a new adventure, a new direction, and some new things. It's not a goodbye forever. Hopefully, we might have him back at some point, but as of right now, he is just going to be taking a break. So, in the meantime, we are going to have some varying different people coming through. In addition to that change, we are going to be streamlining this. We are going to be tightening this up. So hold on to your seats because this is going to be going by fast. Now, if you have not done so already, please take a minute. Leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify, or wherever you downloaded this. And if you're watching on YouTube, go ahead and hit like, subscribe to our channel, leave us a comment below. And even if you don't want to leave a comment on YouTube, you can email us at podcast@dfchurch.com. That's podcast@dfchurch.com. Now, I would love to hear from you guys. What do you think of this new format? What do you think about how things are going? Things you want to hear from us, but we are going to be just jumping right in. I am joined today by Pastor John Cutshall. Pastor John, how are you doing today, sir?
I'm doing fine. Appreciate the chance to be here.
It's pretty fun. This is your first time here on our podcast, and we're excited to have you. For those of you who have not yet met Pastor John, which I think everybody probably, at least here at Discovery, has met you. But what's the 30-second? Who are you? Where are you from? What are you doing? Like, who are you?
Yeah, that's the question I've been asking myself most of my life. Who am I?
Who am I?
Who am I? And what am I doing? That's the question my wife asks all the time. What are you doing? So, no, I've been in ministry 45 years. Right now, I am part of a group that goes in and helps churches become healthier. So we analyze the church, put out a report, and then people like me come in and put legs on the report and, again, help the church become healthier.
It's amazing. And it's been quite the process. And actually what we're going to be talking about today and for the next few weeks is going to be a little bit about transition, what it looks like as we move through difficult times, honestly. And as things are changing, as we're figuring out who we are, my hope will be for the next few weeks to have various members of our elder board and people like that to be on here to let you guys know how they're feeling about all this transition and just be able to continue that communication with you either here at the church, or maybe you're not a part of Discovery Fellowship Church, but your life is in transition, or you're in this difficult time and you're wondering how God is going to take you through that. Maybe you've been following him for a while, or maybe you're not really sure about any of this God stuff, but somehow you found us. Whoever you are, however you made it here, we are so happy that you are here, and we hope this will help you as you navigate transition as well. John, the first question I kind of want to ask you, and this doesn't necessarily have to be about this transition time, however, it can dovetail into it nicely. Overall, what has God been teaching you lately?
God has been teaching me that he can use imperfect people and people who are faithfully afraid that God can use them. I once said, isn't it great that God can use imperfect tools? And somebody said, what choice does he have? Which is fair point. God's just a master of using broken people.
Yeah.
And so it amazes me, and it is my greatest joy when the light comes on in somebody's eyes and they realize that not only God can use them, but God has used them in a significant way to change other people's lives.
That's awesome. I think it's really cool when we think about that. Like this whole, I feel like there's this kind of cloud around churches and religious people and Christians in general, where we sometimes, and maybe we earn this ourselves, we bring this on ourselves, but we get this reputation as if we think we've got it all together, or we're better than others, or, I hear non-Christians all the time say that. It's like, well, you just think you're better than everybody. And as I said, sometimes we bring that on ourselves, but it's so cool instead to see that, no, we're actually very imperfect people, every single one of us, and in the church and without. And the only difference is we've decided to say, God, you take control of this because I'm not doing a good enough job. And I think that's a pretty powerful message that often gets overlooked.
Yeah. I don't go to church, and I'm not involved in the church because I'm perfect.
Yeah.
I go to the church because I'm broken.
Right.
One time, somebody said, well, you just use Jesus as a crutch. And I thought, well, yeah, I'm crippled.
Right.
I need a crutch.
I know. I've often thought that when people use that phrase, I'm like, you say that as if it's some sort of an attack on me. But if we're broken, then why wouldn't we use a crutch? It's
Exactly. And that's where the church, when it's the church, is at its best.
Yeah.
When we can encourage each other, prop each other up, and move forward. Again, people go, oh, when I get it all together, then I'll come to church. And I'm going, no, you've got the formula backwards.
Right.
Let's come to church, seek help, seek encouragement, and Jesus will help you step by step, inch by inch, get it all together.
Yeah. No, I like that. And I think, you've hit upon something where it's like the difference between Christianity and pretty much every other religion is every other religion says you get all your stuff together and then God will like you, right? Whereas Christianity says God loves you and he'll help you get your stuff together.
Even in the middle of your mess.
Right. Even in the middle of your mess, God just loves you. And I think that's so cool. So how do you think we get this wrong? Like, I feel like culturally people, and I don't know if this is just because of the outside culture or if this is because of problems that we've had in the church, but people view this as, well, Christians are just, they're going to tell you a bunch of rules, a bunch of things to not do, and they're going to expect you to do all that before you're even welcome in the church.
Yeah. I think it's twofold. I think the church is full of imperfect people. And so, we do not fully represent Jesus very well at times, even with our best intentions. But the second thing is, I do believe that the enemy, we have an enemy. This is a spiritual warfare situation. I think the enemy spreads propaganda. And I understand church hurts sometimes, and church hurts are the worst hurts. Yeah. Because you expect people to be loving and kind and forgiving, and you forget that the church is full of sinners. And we just have to, it's the perfect laboratory we preach love. The church is a great place to experience love. We preach forgiveness. It's a perfect place to do it. So the imperfect church is the perfect laboratory in becoming more like Jesus.
So what would you say to encourage both people here at Discovery and people at churches, who are Christians already, to maybe help them to be that kind of welcoming, open, and accepting, at least of the people who are going to be coming in with all that baggage and difficulty and hurt and sickness from the world? What's our best way as a church to combat that and to welcome people in?
If I was talking Bible, it'd be, pick up your cross and follow him. If I'm talking normal, it's like puncture the ego balloon, right? And realize you don't have to be perfect. We put on these fronts, and we all do it, whether you're inside the church or outside the church. We put on these fronts going, I'm okay, I'm fine. Yeah. And it's okay to say, man, the devil beat me this week like a rented mule. I mean, and I need some encouragement this week. I need some help. And so once you realize that Jesus has forgiven you of your sin, and that he has offered forgiveness for everybody else, my thought is, if you're good enough for Jesus, you're good enough for me. Yeah. And my standards can't be higher than his. That's just not the formula we want to live by,
Yeah, that's kind of funny. And I think actually that puts it into a good perspective. If we ever find ourselves with a higher standard than Jesus, maybe we should rethink that a little.
We're in a little bit of trouble. We're a little off track.
Oh man, I've heard stories of pastors who say things like that, and you're like, really? Like, your standard is getting above Jesus? That's not good. And I think part of it can be if a lot of you, like myself included, became Christians at a pretty young age. And so we have been Christians for so long that sometimes we lose sight of the amount that God has actually saved us from, right? Like the depth of our sin, the depth of our problems. We're so used to being accepted and like, oh yeah, God loves me, that we kind of forget how bad we were, I think.
Yeah. When I was young, I accepted Jesus, went to church camp a year later, got convicted that I wasn't living up to the standard.
Yeah.
And I thought, man, what a loser. I can't even live like Jesus for a year. Now that I'm older, I don't rededicate myself every year. It's like multiple times a day.
Right.
And I realized that I am a loser and the only chance for me in this life is Jesus. So yeah, I mean, we're not perfect by any means in the church, and so we need Jesus. We need him every day. We need to rededicate our lives to him every moment, and I just pray that God uses my imperfections as well as my good times when I'm on the nut, to let people know that Christianity is real and it's not a religion.
I love that. Yeah, it's I don't know, it like you said, we're all people, and ego and pride are getting wrapped up in it, and it's so hard to sometimes be that authentic with people, because I think for some of us especially, it's like we're afraid to get hurt, right? We're afraid to put ourselves out there and then have that weaponized against us. I think that's what at least for me, that's where it's like I'm going to be very guarded, because if I tell you how I really feel, and then one day you're going to be like, well, you are this and this and this, it's going to be used against you. And it's like, how can we, and again, maybe some of that's ego. Maybe it's, well, I don't want to be hurt by that. Mm-hmm. Well, so how can we move beyond that and actually engage in that kind of authentic relationship?
First of all, you trust Jesus, trust him at his word. He said the truth will set you free. Mm-hmm. And so, if you're hiding something, then you're guarded.
Yeah.
If you admit, hey, I'm imperfect, and somebody says, well, you're this, and I go, can be.
Yeah.
Next. And so it's no longer a weapon to be used against me. And so as a church, we can't be sinners unanimous. We can't be like, Alcoholics Anonymous and have a small group and just dump our deepest, darkest secrets. At least not in the general assembly. We can in in personal relationships, and should.
Yeah.
But we just need to be real and admit again that we're imperfect, and sometimes even with the best intentions, I do something and I look back and I think that was wrong. How stupid can you be?
Yeah.
And the answer is pretty good. I'm pretty perfected in that area.
Yeah.
So
had a lot of practice in this.
Yeah. So yeah, we as a church and those who are looking for a church, just find a church that readily admits that if it's not for the grace of God, if it's not for what Jesus did on the cross, we'd all be lost.
Yeah, I love that. Well, let's kind of shift gears a little bit into the second thing I kind of wanted to talk to you about today, which was times of transition. So here at Discovery, we're in a big time of transition, and from what you've seen, I mean, the fact that there's an entire organization basically there to help churches through transition shows that this is a pretty common occurrence. And I know one of the things that we've talked about is like this kind of church lifespan, and where Discovery is on it, but that's not a church curve for Discovery. That's just the church curve, and every church is somewhere on that spectrum. And some churches, you're at that rising action right now and everything's going great, and then other churches, but at some point inevitably you're going to have to hit a point where you either reinvigorate or decline. Exactly. And I think every church is probably going through that. So we're in this stage right now. What would be your encouragement and thoughts about our transition here in times of transition in general?
It's funny because I preach, and I teach, and I'm here because you're in transition, but the church is always in transition. If you're healthy, you're always making improvements. You're always seeing where can we help people more. But what I love about this event and here at Discovery is you all have been courageous enough to take a good look at yourself and say, okay, honest, here's where we are. And we don't want to stay here. We want to move forward. And so we're reinvigorating in our vision and a purpose. We're going back to the basics of understanding who we are as a church. We're understanding where our power comes from in worship and plugging into Jesus and plugging into God. We're opening ourselves up and saying, God, take us where you need us to go so we can be the church you need us to be. And so any church, whether you use Next Step, the company I'm with, or the people I'm with, or you do it on your own, anytime you open yourself up to God and just say, God, be honest with us, show us where we are, and show us our next steps so that we can become the church you need us to be.
All right, I want to put you on the spot real quick because you mentioned something.
Okay,
and you mentioned you mentioned our this kind of a new vision, and when we talk about real quick before we talk about our new vision statement, how do you define vision, and why is that different than mission?
Okay, vision is the big picture. Vision is the why we are here, what we are supposed to do. And so, people can have personal visions. My vision is I'm here to build people, to build the kingdom. So, not my kingdom, his kingdom,
Right.
But just better clear that up real fast. But, the churches need to ask themselves, why am I here? Am I here just to put on a good show on Sunday? Am I here to, entertain the youth? What am I here to do? And when we get down to the basics, we got to go back to the Bible and what Jesus has done. But vision, that's vision, the big picture. Mission is how we do it on a day-to-day basis. So it's a little smaller, but not the less important phrase that we can use, that we can memorize easy, that people go, hey, what do you do at church? We do this.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So here's where I'm putting you on the spot. We have this whole new vision statement, this new big picture look at where we are and why we are as a church. Do you have it memorized?
Parts. I could work my way through it. I think together we follow Jesus, being transformed by Him, and living on mission to bring Him to our homes, our community, and the world.
I think that is close enough. I don't have it in front of me either, but that's
the Cutshall paraphrase.
I've been sitting here. Yeah. One of the things we do sometimes is this is a brief tangent, but it's kind of fun. So I'm in a discipleship group. We do this Navigators 2.7 discipleship, and there's a lot of scripture memorization. And you can pick which version you want to memorize, but we're working on like word for word memorization. But so I picked NASB, but I've got so many verses memorized as a kid from either King James even or NIV. And so sometimes I get this garbled out amalgamation, mishmash of 3 different translations. And I'm like, it's the Nathan Webb translation, whatever. And it's like, and then we always, and our leader of the group is like, no, you got to be going for word perfect. And we always give him a hard time because we say, Jesus didn't quote word perfect. We don't have to either. So, it's fun.
Yeah, I like grouping the thought behind it together. That means the whole church. We love each other. We work together to do this. We're being transformed by Him. I'm not the guy I was, 10 years ago. I'm not the guy I was hopefully last week because of Jesus working in me. We're on mission. We don't just waller in our salvation, but we're blessed to be a blessing to somebody else. So we take it to our homes first, because that's the first mission field that God has given all of us. Our communities. And then to the world.
I love it.
So yeah, I look more in phrases and intent than I do word for word. So I would probably flunk out of your discipleship group.
No, see, you would fit right in with all of us because we always are saying that, like, it's close. We're getting the idea of it, right? That's what matters. It's not when we memorize it, it's great. Memorization's a good thing, and getting word for word, I guess, is fine. But at the same time, it's like these are all translations into English. It's not like this is Jesus didn't speak in King James, so it's okay if you're as long as you're what you'd be. There is. We did a whole episode on this once. A sizable movement that says the only inspired version of the Bible is the King James.
Yeah,
it's a little strange, but hey, as long as you're reading the Bible, it's a good thing, right?
There you go. There you go. I'm not going to strain out the gnat and swallow the camel.
Exactly. Well, so we are going to wrap it up there for this week. Just give you a little tiny morsel to get you through how your week is going. Hopefully great. Please email us. It's been since we've been off for the last couple of weeks. We have not had a lot of emails coming in. So please take a minute. Email us, podcast@dfchurch.com. Let us know what you think about kind of how you're handling transition in your life, whether you're here at Discovery or somewhere else, and how hopefully you are looking a little more like Jesus every day, because that is our hope for you. And, if you are here in our community and you're looking to plug in further, kind of connect, become a part of this community, go to dfchurch.com and look at our events page. There's so much stuff coming up. Some events just for women, some for men, our Sunday services, whether you're already plugged in here at the Body or you're just looking for a church in general and you're here in Fort Collins, Colorado, we would love for you to join us, plug in, connect with us there. I want to thank again, Pastor John, for being here today. And we will see you next week.